팝콘 장판 찍어 먹어.
아니 뭐.
내가 찍어줄게.
Uh-oh, he's big black girl coming, big black girl coming. Yeah, big black girl.
At the scope? Are you doing a shuttle?
Anytime between, yeah, they don't have to run all the time. They will just.
It's good.
And you can eat leaves, sometimes the flower, and then deep fry too.
Oh, you know that.
We have lots of those in our country, and it smells good too. Oberlin, it's Ohio, more south than Lansing, yeah, but
you know
what?
last week they all
each year they do that or what?
all those red flowers over there, it wasn't there.
Oh, I see. That's last year.
They all
Thank you, Raymond. No.
I don't like water, okay? She nice. Come on, Molly.
Damon talking to the phone.
Take my flowers.
It's a mess.
Really, aren't
And this is
Damon's
only if it's rained
girlfriend.
out. And 2 years ago, it drizzled, and they had it outside still. So if it's outside, anybody can show up.
They're next door neighbors presenting the honor of degree. Yeah. Seen Andrea's mother. I heard she said if you see her tomorrow, I would take it.
They would pass it back and forth.
Well, you know, you can stay there. But we don't know where. What does it say? We don't know where they're going. Little baby. Who's carrying you? See the tall guy? Real tall? And then see that little flash of light? Oh.
Oh, you just raised it way up.
She must be inside or something. It's huge. Yes. Well, he's probably got a banner or something he's going to unfurl. Yeah. We'll take turns. What are parents for?
What?
I believe it's a factory. Kind of big.
I have my malaria pill. I haven't eaten my food.
Where are you going that you have to cancel?
Came back from East Africa.
What's it? I was there about 10 years ago.
I went to Gombe National Stream for part of a day and saw one chimpanzee and some others. Mostly good.
That's Mr. Spoonmarker. I don't know where he is.
See, they're going up there, so Emily's probably coming in this inner line. Okay.
Okay.
Let's head back.
I wonder why it looks so intense.
Go ahead.
It only happens once.
Yeah. That is an extra hand.
Yeah. Congratulations. Oh, thank you.
Who's sitting here and who's sitting in front?
Do you know where is Molly behind you?
I think they're on M or N here, and they're going through K on the front. The last name starts with K.
Maybe you can just.
That will be the front section.
Double line.
Hello. Having a few snappers today. Gets tired of guessing.
Do you know who's peeling off of that section where that section
in there with the people that were there. Why don't you stand right here?
Now I'm gonna go front.
Line, you get the wrong diploma.
Yeah, I like these gray clouds coming.
Hey, Fred. Say hi.
George!
We'll get everybody over there. Yours.
I call you
Friends, we remember all of the lonely people in this world. In this time of lightness and joy, we remember those who carry a burden of grief. We give thee thanks for all of the achievements which this ceremony represents here today. Please accept our heartfelt thanks for the day.
In the 159 years since the first commencement on this spot, yours is the largest and maybe noisiest graduating class ever. More important, only once in Oberlin's entire history, and that was in 1990, has a larger percentage of those who entered actually gone on to graduate. Now those of you who took Professor Glazier and Cassin's Introduction to Cultural Anthropology, more precisely his sidekick, Art Carney. But before turning to this giant of philosophy, let me try briefly to contrast Oberlin College and out there. Here, for example, you've lived in an environment of structured courses, syllabi, and assignments, largely drawn up behind him at lunch, on lunch break, with Jackie Gleason, a.k.a. Ralph Cramden. Ed opens his lunchbox and pulls out a sandwich. He frowns. Not salami again, he gripes. I hate it. Ralph looks on. The next day, there they are at lunch break. Ed reaches into his lunchbox and pulls out a sandwich. Again, the look of disgust, and again the lament. Yuck. I hate liverwurst. On the third day, Ed again bemoans his fate as he encounters this time Limburger cheese. But this time Ralph Cramden turns to Ed Norton and says, and by the way, the terminology is Jackie Gleason's and not mine, if you hate salami, you hate liverwurst.
Abhinandan. Parents and friends, welcome and congratulations, class of 1993. I was going to start with a joke about the weather, but it's changing every 5 minutes or so on stage. And so I'll just start by saying that I am somewhat surprised to be giving this speech here, because when I applied to Oberlin College 4 years ago, my essay writing skills were so poor.
1993 Parents, Family, and Friends Distinguished Community Service Award to say anything after being presented. But the circumstances of today's award are unusual. Within the recollection of those familiar with these ceremonies, this is the first time a member of the Board of Trustees has presented someone for an honor. More unusual, it is the first time a daughter has presented her father for this award. Thus, today is unique in Oberlin's history, in my history, and for all I know, in the history of parent-child relationships.
In fact, for a while there, you were at serious risk of hearing whole chapters of my life story. For memories of the joyous and important years at Oberlin flooded in. But don't worry, there are some truths about graduations and commencement speakers of which I am quite aware. The ceremonial rites themselves are fraught with hazard. It may literally rain on the parade, out of boredom, no matter how long and tedious the commencement address. So I'm going to try and avoid that most egregious sin. I will attempt to be pithy and brief, and if possible, entertaining, which almost rules out topics like AIDS, but we'll see. First, forgive me just a couple of touches of nostalgia, for try as I may, it's impossible to resist a momentary glance backward at the day in 1953, when I first arrived, one of Oberlin's then notorious Ford scholars, 16 years old, and quite uncertain whether the Ford Foundation really knew what it was doing with its early admissions program. Because, of course, all our classmates knew there was a Ford Scholarship. In point of fact, 75% of the cases of AIDS worldwide have been heterosexually spread. Do we really think we Americans are another species? And then there is the dreadful problem of disproportionate involvement of people of color in the AIDS epidemic. The congruence of AIDS with epidemics of drug misuse and now tuberculosis prompted Joe Califano recently to invoke a powerful metaphor. He referred to those interconnected triple plagues that spew to and from our prisons and into our inner cities as Cerberus, the three-headed dog that guards the gates of hell. And yet rational response has been impeded by a purely punitive approach to substance abuse, made less effective still by pervasive mistrust of the GARS. That rejection of science may seem perverse indeed, unless she knows black history and in particular the awful story of the Tuskegee syphilis study, in which black Americans were left untreated for decades after penicillin arrived for reasons that defy ethical explanation. Clearly such clouds of mistrust of science will continue to obscure the usefulness of progress unless collective efforts are made to clear the atmosphere. The 20th century is in fact full of examples of what happens to science if humanism is left too far behind. Obviously, I could go on like this.
I'm not the best today.
May I ask the audience to withhold applause until all candidates have received diplomas. Mr. President, these candidates have successfully met all the requirements for graduation and are recommended by the faculty of the College of Arts and Sciences and the general faculty for the degree of Bachelor of Arts.
On this recommendation, and in the name of Oberlin College, I confer upon you who have completed the prescribed requirements, therefore, the degree of Bachelor of Arts, with all the rights, privileges, and honors thereunto appertaining. And I invite you to receive the diploma which certifies that degree.
President of the senior class, Naeem Mohamed. First Vice President of the senior class, Nadeem Hayder. Second Vice President of the senior class, Rachel Miriam Gorney. Deirdre Yvette Cheek. Johnny Young Yai Chen. Andrew John Cherry. Kenneth Daesun Chi.
Yeah,
Robert Oliver Shahada. Julie Ann Chenitz. Murali Shiravuri. Theodore Edwin Chodak. Kim Jun Choi. Su Ming Cho. Godfrey So Chua. Christopher Miles Gates. Michelle Rose Gaton. Danielle E. Laurent Gauthier. Gilbert Chi Lung Ji. Octavia Gertis. Anthony William Caron. Reed Stephen Kirstein.
Katie.
Jennifer Catherine Girardi. Stephen Garber Gladfelter. Allison Gray Miller. Ken Chan Mitra. Robert Andrew Montgomery. Athena Beth Moore. Erica Lee Moore. Mordecai Samuel Moore.